Hi, I'm Dana with Camelback Plumbing. Have you ever awakened in the middle of the night to hear water running, or in the middle of the day to hear water running, and you don't know where it's coming from? Before you can find out where it's coming from, it stops. One of the places that it could be coming from is your toilet tank. Your toilet tank can be filling up because the water inside is leaking into the bowl. I'm going to show you today how to stop that. One of the first things you need to do when you're working in the toilet tank is to ensure that the water is off so that it doesn't continue filling and wasting water while you're working inside on the flapper valve. So on this toilet right here, this is the shutoff valve. It just turns 90 degrees. And now the water's off to the tank and we can work inside the tank. Some of the older valves, actually you have to turn several times. Now, one thing you need to be careful of, if you can't turn that handle easily, something may break and cause a flood. So you have to be careful. If you can't turn the handle, I would suggest calling a professional plumber to do it. This is all you really need to change the flapper in your toilet tank. This is the flapper itself. You want to make sure that it looks similar to the flapper that is in your tank already. This is a float that actually controls the flapper according to the amount of water designed to flush the toilet. This particular toilet, if you look right here on the back of the behind the toilet seat, it says 1.6 gallons per flush. So it's capable of doing a lot more, but we want it to flush 1.6 gallons. So that's the purpose of this float. You'll also need a pair of scissors because depending on what flapper you have in the tank, you may have to cut these pieces right here. Cut this center section out. So now we'll look inside the tank. Before we look inside the tank, you have to move your lid and move it to a safe location. I recommend putting it on carpet if you have carpet, because if these things break, some of these are difficult to get replaced, and some of them you can't replace. So be careful when removing the tank lid and always put it in a safe place. I suggest putting it upside down because it sets flat. Okay, down in the bottom of the tank you'll see the blue flapper. That's what controls the water from the tank to the bowl, and that's what we're going to replace. If you notice, on the edges of the blue flapper, or on the edges of this tube right here, are little ears that these holes will fit around. So we will indeed have to cut out this center section. So I'm going to do that right now. And you just simply cut it out. So we have turned the water off to the tank. So by flushing the toilet, no water is going to enter the tank. And we won't be wasting water other than what's in the tank right now. Tank water is clean. I wouldn't advise putting your hand in a bowl water, but the tank water you can feel free to put your hands in. It is clean. So what we're going to do is remove the blue flapper in the bottom. This one here just lifts off these little tabs like this, and we have to disconnect the chain. So this is the old one right here. We're going to replace it with the new one. Now the new one is real flexible, so it just slides right over the ears on the edge of this tube. Takes about 2 seconds. I'm going to adjust, you may have to adjust the chain to take some of the slack out of the chain by removing this little clip and moving it down the chain a little bit. And setting it back in the hole. Now when you flush it, it lifts up and the float will stay on top of the water and drop this before all of the water is depleted in the tank. So now we're ready to turn the water on. So that's all that's needed to replace the flapper in your tank. And you may have to adjust the float accordingly.